I'm Louis Carney, and I'd like to talk to you today about doing menswear. Oftentimes, when we think of embroidery, we think of sewing, we forget about men. And I wanted to talk to you today about how to incorporate embroidery designs into menswear. One of my favorite things that I like to do is to use metallic threads, and I like to pick designs that are more geometric, more abstract, as opposed to something florally that you might choose for a little girl. So don't forget, men can look great in embroidery. One of the things that I've used or I'm doing is to put embroidery on a sleeve. In order to do that easily, you'll want to have a machine that's either single needle or multi-needle that has a free arm. I'm going to show you how you would hoop for that to make sure that you don't sew your shirt together and to make sure that you have proper stabilization and to get it in proper position. So right now, I've already started with one design, and I rehooped so that I can be ready for my second design. I've pulled up my design, and at this point, my machine is ready to go. I'm going to simply get ready to start it, and while the machine is going, I'm going to show you on another shirt so I can have it ready, kind of production style, so it's ready to embroider the next set. So we're going to start, and it's going to be ready to go. So I have another shirt, and I'm going to use a hoop. Now, you'll want to use smaller hoops when you're embroidering on sleeves. You can also use this for pant legs, so it's wonderful to have a single needle or a multi-needle machine with a free arm because you don't have to take out your underseam. So I have a shirt, and I'm going to just find the position on my sleeve. Now, this is a ready-to-wear shirt, which is great, and the wonderful thing about this is that it already has a crease. So this is going to allow me for easy positioning when I want to keep my design straight. So I have my shirt, and I've marked my hoop with the center marks so that I would know which direction it needs to go into the sleeve so that it will stay in position. So we're going to take our inner ring, and you'll notice that I'm not hooping this with stabilizer. I put the stabilizer under the hoop. So we're going to position this, and the first thing you want to do is take your hoop, the inner piece, and position it where you want. And in this case, I've positioned it right on the sleeve cap. This is going to go on the center and go all the way down the sleeve. You'll reposition, rehoop after you have embroidered the first one. You're going to position your second hooping and your third hooping. Notice that I can go all the way down the sleeve because I have a free arm. So let's get our first hooping positioned. I'm going to line this up, and my outer hoop, which has the screw in it, is positioned under, and we'll just line that up so that it is now straight along the crease and it's ready to embroider. When you attach this to the machine, you'll want to use a stabilizer, and I like to use a tearaway stabilizer for things like this. And when I use a tearaway stabilizer, you're going to just tear a little piece of this off so that you're able to slide it directly under the arm of the machine. Now, when we look over at the machine that's going right now, the design, you'll notice that the stabilizer is simply floating under the embroidery hoop and the design. That is so that you can have freedom of movement, and it will allow the sleeve to move clearly over the free arm. You'll want to do the same thing if you're going to do embroidery on trousers. So for example, these trousers are able to be embroidered completely without removing the inseam all the way up the leg with the free arm. Now, while the machine is going and this embroidery is moving along, we'll want to think about placement, which is kind of key with menswear. Ladies wear and women's wear, you can have a little bit more flexibility. With menswear, a little more structure makes the embroidery stand out a little more, and it makes it so that The design is on the gentleman and it's blending with his suit. So in this case, I've decided to embroider entirely down the back of the shirt. You'll notice also that a small placement on a chest adds just a little hint. Now, when we talk about embroidery placement, we'll also talk about sleeves. So in this instance, I've embroidered entirely down the sleeve without removing the inseam because of my free arm. You'll notice that on the front of the shirt, again, we have great embroidery, and then we've added some of the crystals, which I'm going to talk to you about how to apply those in just a bit. Here again, we have embroidery on the back, and a wonderful positioning will also be on your breast front. And the breast front, again, the design is simple, it's geometric, and we've incorporated some of the crystals to go along with it. Now, oftentimes you'll think, I don't want to have all that bling. This is for my husband. He's very simple. He doesn't like all of that bling. So another example will be the shirt that I'm wearing. And in this instance, the embroidery starts at the top, goes all the way down. I know you thought I was being sloppy by not having my shirt tucked in, but I wanted to showcase the embroidery so you would be able to see how detailed and beautiful the design comes out. Think about this for shirts, t-shirts, blazers, trousers, and other types of menswear. Well, our design is finished on the machine, so let's take it off and see what it looks like. And as you can see, we've got our second embroidery, which is interlooped into the first embroidery. So we'll just pop it out, remove our hoop, and then if we were going to position for a third design to continue all the way down the sleeve, again, you'll take your hoop and you'll position it so that you're centered, and then we're going to slide our bottom hoop underneath and lock it back on the machine to continue with more embroidery. But now I'd like to talk to you about applying crystals in case your guy is one that you can add that bling to. So let's show you how simple it is to add crystals. So we'll just move this piece out of our way. And there are a couple different ways to apply crystals. You can use crystals applying it with a wand, and a wand is a heat tool that will allow you to apply crystals one by one. So when we apply crystals in this manner, you can use something like a stencil, and a stencil has the holes already cut, it's already ready to go. You lay the crystals in each hole and you'll use the wand to apply. Or you can also use a digital cutter. A digital cutter will take an image or a design and it will cut a template for you. So in this example, we have a template that's been cut, and I've already cut it from this, and you'll want to make sure to get all the proper supplies. So there's something like a flocking material, there's a transfer film, and the backer board, which makes this a permanent template. So, in my software, I've already designed a cut for the crystals to go to the digital cutter. So, the design is positioned, and at this point, we're going to simply tell it that we're ready to cut. While this is cutting, I'm going to go ahead and show you applying crystals one by one, and I also will show you using a template. So we'll let this start, and it'll begin cutting. Now, when you use a stencil, you don't have to use the whole piece. In this particular example, which I think is great, I've used the entire stencil and multicolored crystals. So this is a lot of fun, and what a great thing, you got a luau to go to, you're on your vacation in Hawaii, just add a little bling to something without being overdone. But that night, you've got a party, and you'll want to jazz up just a plain black dress shirt, but you don't want to use the entire stencil. This is a traditional quilt block stencil, but we've only used elements of it. So don't think because something has all of these flowers in it, you can't simply cut a piece of it out. So in this particular case, we've laid the stencil and we've put the crystals down just like that. So let's see how simple it is to do that. So the machine is cutting. I want to use a stencil and I want to add crystals on my shirt pocket. So I'm going to use just a piece, and you'll want to have something like painter's tape handy so that you can tape your stencil down so that it doesn't shift. And I'm just going to lay my tape right directly. The great thing about this is it won't leave gummy residue on your shirt or your project. And we'll take some crystals, and I usually take a few. These are hot fix crystals, so they have glue on the back of the crystals. So when you use the wand, they will adhere directly to your project. And so you'll continue to place all of the crystals in the part of the design you want to use and lay them down. There are other tools that you can use also to help you lay the crystals down, just in case you have problems gripping them or they're flipping on you. And you'll continue along the process until you have all of the holes filled in the direction you want to go. Now, this particular template is cut so that each of the crystals will fit directly through the hole, and then you'll simply lift the stencil up. My tool has been heating, and the amount of time you leave on a crystal will depend on the size of the crystal. The bigger the crystal, the longer the amount of time. So the wands will have different size tips for different size crystals. This is a larger crystal, so it needed a larger wand. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And you'll simply count maybe to about 10 or 20. And then after the crystal is adhered, you can simply pick up your wand and move it to your next crystal. You can continue on in this process until all of the crystals have been applied. This is great if you wanted to apply crystals one by one by one on an embroidery design. Oftentimes you don't want crystals all over, so you'll add crystals one by one by one by one. Now, to use a stencil, which is a lot of fun, this is a template that we've got. We're going to take our crystals. You'll want to have press cloth, and you simply sprinkle the crystals over the top. Use your handy dandy brush, and in a light, gentle circular motion, you'll brush the crystals until they fill in all of the holes. I'm brushing away the excess as I'm brushing. You'll end up where you'll have to place maybe a couple in some of the holes, but for the most part, they should all fall in right side up, and you'll brush away the excess. So now I'm going to brush away all the ones I don't need, and I just have a couple that I have to position. So very carefully and gently, you'll want to lift that. Get you a nice clean space to be able to work within. And so I have one upside down that I can just flip. And I have one missing and a second. You have transfer film, and that's what creates the decal. So we're going to take our transfer film. That's what's on this green backing. And it's a piece of film that you'll lift off. This film is reusable. You'll want to save this, so don't throw your backing away, because you'll continue to use that over and over again until it no longer sticks. We position it right on top. Now, on a small design such as this, you can just use your fingers. If you had a larger pattern, you may want to use a brayer and roll the design. You'll gently lift this up and make sure all the crystals come up with the film. They are supposed to come up, so you want them to come up. Here we've created a ribbon pattern, because there's lots of different charities out there that use the ribbon, and you'll position it where you want it to go, and you're going to stick the film. It's not supposed to stay permanent. This is just to get you to your ironing surface so that you can position the crystals. Now, I'm going to just move this one and kind of get my crystals away so that you guys can see me positioning and placing my template here. So And you can use a press, you can use an iron, any type of surface. You do not want the steam in the iron. You want it to be a high temperature and pressure. We are pressing, we are not ironing. You want to allow lots of pressure and let it set. And while that's setting, I'm going to take out my mat so that you guys can see how this design cut. And we'll peel this away. And as it peels away, all the dots will remain on the mat and you'll have your template. So now we're going to take this up and want to just check it and make sure the crystals have set. So if it doesn't get hot enough the first time, go ahead, lay it back down, cover it, don't move anything. And again, high heat and nice pressure. This is how simple it is to do all of the wonderful things for menswear. It doesn't mean a thing without that bling.